So this is one of the most important entries into the A segment electric vehicle category, the Leap Motor T03, coming to South Africa later this year from Stellantis. Electric vehicles in South Africa, unfortunately, have always had this perception that they're expensive, and rightly so. With a 25% import duty applied to electric vehicles versus an 18% import duty applied to most ICE vehicles, electric vehicles have always got the raw end of the deal. But finally, I think we're in a category now where we can get mass adoption going. What makes this electric vehicle super exciting is that Stellantis South Africa is trying to bring it into the country in the 400,000 Rand zone. It's still not cheap, but it will be one of the most affordable electric vehicles in its segment. But even for that price, the value that is packed and the technology that is packed into this vehicle is superb. We're going to go through it and have a look at the technology, but what you would expect to get in a plus 700,000 Rand vehicle is chock-a-block full in the Leap Motor T03. So let's talk about some specs on the car. It's got a 70 kilowatt front wheel drive electric motor that can produce 158 Newton meters of torque. That puts this vehicle 0 to 100 in just over 12 seconds, and it has a maximum highway speed of around 130 kilometers an hour. Those specifications make it ideal for urban city driving. Slow speeds, traffic jams, and the occasional highway drive when you need it. It's got plenty of acceleration for when you need to overtake, particularly when you kick it into the sport mode. So for a practical runaround vehicle, the T03 is absolutely ideal. What you can see with the T03 is that it has a very wide wheelbase. That's because of the batteries that's been put right at the bottom to keep the center of gravity low, but it also opens up a lot of space inside the vehicle. You'll see that it's ample room for the drivers, plus you've got a very, very sizable and practical boot. For an A-class segment, 15-inch alloy wheels are standard. One of the nicest features of an A-segment vehicle is to come with a sunroof, and the T03 is no exception. A really nice, spacious sunroof that opens up the cabin and brings in a lot of light. From a charging perspective, you can see here that the charging port actually sits on the front of the vehicle as opposed to the sides or the rear, which makes it an interesting design and a bit of a throwback to some of the earlier EVs that were coming into the market. Speeds-wise, 6.6 kilowatts of AC charging and up to 48 kilowatts of DC charging. And we're going to run through a DC charge test because the 30% to 80% charge time is just over 30 minutes. The battery capacity of the Leap T03 is 37 kilowatt hours. That gives it a combined driving range of 265 kilometers, or if you're doing city driving only, Stellantis claims you can go up to 395 kilometers. I've done some test driving on this car already, and when I started at a 90% charge, I've already done 175 kilometers of range. I still have 49 kilometers remaining, and I've had an average of around 14.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And that is an exceptional consumption, one of the best energy consumptions that I've driven in an EV so far. So now we're going to take the Leap T03 and do a DC test charge. My starting charge is going to be under 30%, and I want to see if we can get this car charged to 80% in just over 30 minutes. It should be charging at 48 kilowatts, but let's go and test it out. Right, so here we are. I'm inside the T03. I'm at a DC charging station and we're about to do a DC charge test. I'm currently on 19% battery and I've set the charging limit to 80% so that we can do a proper simulation of how much time it'll take to get a DC charge into the car, and will it hit the spec of around 36 minutes. So we're about to do that. Let's have a go. Okay, charging has started. It's picked up that the state of charge is 20%. We're up to 16, going up to 27, 29. Let's hope we can get up to that 48 kilowatts, which is the maximum DC charge speed of the T03. Okay, so it's picked up fast charging. We're on to 23%. It says 57 minutes remaining to get to that 80%. What's interesting is you can see it gives a live reading of the voltage and the current. So 383 volts and 77 amps coming in. So we're up to 34% now, but the DC charger is still holding the power output at 30 kilowatts. I'm just waiting and hoping that this thing kicks up to 48 kilowatts soon. Okay, so I've been at the station for about 10 minutes and it's charged up to about 37%, but it's been holding at that 30 kilowatts, not quite reaching the maximum of the 48 kilowatts yet. I'm still hoping that we might peak to 48 kilowatts, but I'm going to keep an eye on it and let you know in a moment. Okay, so I've kind of figured out why I'm not getting more than 30 kilowatts of charge speed from the DC charger, and the reason is it looks like one half of this charger is offline. And I just kind of confirmed this because we've got a second EV that's just pulled in. When he plugged in, it said unavailable, which means that potentially only 30 kilowatts out of the 60 kilowatts is available to charge the Leap. That's why I couldn't get up to the 48 kilowatts on the Leap, because half the charging station is down. But this just shows you, this is kind of the issues, the teething issues that we're going to experience as we see more and more EVs start appearing at charge stations. Okay, the charging session's just completed. My battery's now at 79%, and I've added in about 29 kilowatt hours. It took an hour to charge. And the reason, as I've explained, is because half this charging station was unavailable. We couldn't get up to the maximum of the 48 kilowatts, which is what I was trying to get to. So again, something to be aware of. This is still early days in terms of charging infrastructure, but these are the types of issues that you could get to if you start charging EVs with 2 cars or more at a station at once. All right, after that charge session, I've just done a 9-kilometer drive on fairly flat road, and I just wanted to highlight to you how efficient this T03 actually is in terms of energy consumption. So for that 9-kilometer trip, I've only used 11 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is exceptional. If you think of the spec on the car being a WLTP range of 265 kilometers combined, but up to 395 if you're doing short trips like this. So for daily commuting and short trips, this type of car is ideal. Remember, an EV is more efficient at low speeds than a petrol car. It's actually the inverse. So the slower you go, the more efficiency you get out of an EV. So this type of car is perfect for that type of trip. All right, so we're doing a bit of a drive test now on the Leap Motor T03, and there's some very interesting and useful driving assist systems that come with this vehicle. The first one is automatic cruise control. So you've got a cruise control button over here, and if I touch the button, I'm locking in the current cruise control at 107 kilometers per hour. And you would have also seen at the bottom there, the camera actually picking up that there are vehicles around me. So this integrated radar system is able to detect the vehicles around me. It's also able to keep me in my lane. So it's got an integrated lane keep assist as well, which allows me to kind of have semi-autonomous level 2 driving during safety speeds. But what's also interesting is that this is an automatic cruise control. So it allows the vehicle to sense vehicles ahead of you and dynamically slow down pretty much to 0 and then resume speeds as well. So for this type of car, this segment of car, I think it's a very high-tech feature that you wouldn't normally get in the sort of A segment class. This is the driving assist section of the Leap Motor T03. You've got a number of toggles here like forward collision warnings, blind spot detection, door opening warnings, lane keep assist. It allows the vehicle to stay within the lanes. Distraction warning. So if you look at the corner of the car here, you've got 2 infrared sensors that are constantly monitoring you for driver fatigue or distraction. So you can have that on as a safety feature. You've got cruise control system, so I've got it on automatic cruise control, which means it's dynamically adjusting the speed. There's speed assist systems, which means it actually picks up the speed from the side. If it picks up a 120, you'll actually see that on the road as well. And then speed limit changing and overspeed warning. So a number of safety factors are available in the T03. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put it into sport mode. And we're going to do a little bit of a acceleration test off the line here, just to get a feel for how this car can accelerate. I'm not expecting a spectacular 0 to 100 time here, but it's just to get a feel of the vehicle off the line. So it's into sport mode. I'll put the steering into sport mode. Foot down. It's definitely got that torque. For a small car, it's quite an exceptional acceleration. So yeah, that was actually quite good. Next time a Porsche pulls up next to this one, it's going to have to pay it some respect. So let's go through the UI of the infotainment unit. Again, quite simple, but quite functional. You've got your volume control on the left. You've got the ability to unlock the boot via a touchscreen button here as well. You've got your demisters and defoggers. This is your aircon control. It gives you a selection between heating, cooling, and ventilation, and you adjust your fan speed at the top. But if I were to adjust my heating or go to heating mode, you can see you've got a bit of a sliding scale. So you need to select what mode you are actually adjusting for. You've got your recycler options there as well. And you can get rid of it quite quickly if you just touch that. Or there's a shortcut here to adjust the speed of the fans and so on. Over here is really where you get to the fun stuff, which is now looking at the car itself. You've got your sort of shortcut menus on the right. This is your fast control screen. You can see here, you can put your headlights on to automatic or to manual. You can use this button to unlock your charging session or your charging cable. And this is where you have a sliding scale for actually changing the position of your panoramic sunroof. Obviously, you've got manual screen brightness control, and you can change how you want the reverse radar lights. That's all on your front sort of shortcut screen. Lighting settings is more direct. Driving settings, standard, sport, or eco. This is also has integrated one pedal drive control. So if you choose eco, you're going to get maximum regeneration for one pedal drive. If you choose sport, what it actually does is it takes off one pedal drive and allows you to coast more. Perhaps that's a bit better in terms of highway driving, but it does compromise a bit on the regen. Steering mode, different modes depending on how you want the responsiveness of the steering wheel. And you've got a couple of other options here for ESC and auto hold. Driving assist is where you get a full view of all your ADAS controls. Blind spot detection is quite good. I've picked it up a couple of times. Lane keep assist, lane departure warning, and lane departure warning sound. All of those three work together. And I have to say, when driving this vehicle, that it actually does a very good job of keeping you in the lane if you start drifting. So lane detection is actually very good. Cruise control system, automatic cruise control, speed assist system, and then overspeed warning and overspeed speed limit change sound. Intelligent connection is more of I think a connection option with Bluetooth and using a key to unlock the vehicle. Charging settings, standard settings, so you can set the limit of charging all the way up to 100% or even below that. It's good to keep your battery charged to 80%, specifically if it's a lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt. And you've got some scheduling options here as well. The health system is quite good. There's a permanent option here just to tell you if the car is in order. But what I like about this car is that it does give you an integrated tire pressure monitor, which is not a common feature for a car in this segment. The trip meter is well laid out, giving you current mileage on what your current trip is and your active trip is, but also since your last charge. So you can see here, since the DC charge test, 51 kilometers driven, 8.1 kilowatt hours was used for that distance at an average of 15.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And then you've also got a manual option here. If you really want to just do a sort of trip test, you can have a reset on that and you can monitor it. You've got some key settings for how you want to lay out the key. You've got a shortcut option on the key as well if you need to use that. And then you've got some maintenance options as well. System settings, your wireless network connectivity. You've got sound options as well here. Quite nice. You've got an interactive positioning for your sound experience inside the vehicle. Sound adjustment in terms of treble and bass and so on. You've got a voice activated option. You can see here on your steering wheel Basically, that's for voice activation, so it's got some basic voice applications. There's a storage indicator, and I think this is more for applications, which I'll show you in a second. Software, telling me here that the Leap OS is at the latest version of software. So for an A segment vehicle, you are going to have the ability to download and install software updates on this vehicle, which is a great feature of a software-defined vehicle and what you would expect, and great to see it in this car as well. And you've got some general settings for time and so on as well. So if you go to the home, and you scroll left and right, this is where you can get to your applications. So you can install a few applications. This is a version of the Leap Motor T03 which comes with an app called AutoKit, which works with another dongle called the CarLink, and the two of those work together to give you Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Haven't been able to test that because I don't have a dongle with the car, but that's exactly how it did work in the Leap Motor C10. And that's about it. If you have a look here at the driver's screen, not too much control on the screen for specific things. If I do put the car into drive, you start the driving mode, you can see the bottom right going into driving mode. If I were to change the drive settings and put this into eco, you would see eco appear there or standard appear there at the bottom right. So that's one port of control. What you do see in the middle there is your remaining distance, so 147 kilometers left, and then your odometer, temperature and time on the left hand side. But the center of the screen is really dominated with your speed, as well as a camera version of the vehicles that are surrounding you, and when you're driving you're going to see the lane keep assist as well active. Quick overview of the steering wheel buttons. You got left and right steering wheel buttons. The left hand side is more for your cruise control, which is your active button on this side over here. These two buttons are for setting the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you in terms of the active cruise control. You have the volume button seated in the middle here between your two distance buttons, which, if I'm honest, I would prefer that the volume button might be on the right hand side, which is where you've got vehicle media control, like your phone, your voice control and so on. That would be a more natural fit to have the volume control sitting here. Instead, what this button does is it links to whatever's shown on the screen here, which could be a radio frequency, for example. If this button was more used for cruise control, incremental steps going up or going down, linked to that, that would have been a nicer implementation. But it is what it is. This is the volume button, and this is more for interactive functions with your UI. So simple buttons, but nevertheless useful. So just in summary, my take on the T03 so far, I think this is the type of EV that South Africa desperately needs. A segment, compact, something that you would use perhaps as your second car, but really useful for daily commuting, for doing school runs, for doing grocery runs, to get to your work and back, with that 260 to 380 kilometers of range. I think that's more than sufficient for you to only have to worry about charging once a week at most. And if you can charge it at home overnight, or if you can charge it at the office, I think you've got a perfect vehicle here. Overall tech is exceptional for its segment. The ability to have a sunroof, complete open sunroof as well, for this type of car, gives you that kind of premium feel. So I would be very comfortable to see this car on the roads. Very happy to see more vehicles coming out in this segment, and I think the T03, when it comes out later this year, is going to be a game changer. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks very much. I'll catch you on the next one.